Mums with Hustle podcast, episode 533.
Welcome to the Mums with Hustle podcast, where you'll discover everyday mum entrepreneurs killing it in their industry. Learn the secrets you can replicate to create your own success with your host, Tracy Harris.
There is something I need to talk about because I had an experience recently that was equal parts surprising. Surprising in like a, whoa, really? It was disappointing and it was honestly a little absurd. I did laugh out loud. Like I chuckled. I was like, what? I was in disbelief. Anyway, I had someone attend one of my free masterclasses online. And afterwards, I did something I do not always get the opportunity or the time to do at this level anymore. Having a business that is of this size, having the volume of people that attend my free classes, I don't really get to do this thing that often anymore. And I do suggest that if you are someone that is still in the era of attracting smaller numbers, or if you are in an era of having less customers, this is definitely something that you could be doing. I hesitate to tell you what you should be doing, but I mean, I think this is a very good business activity. Like, it is a good use of your time to do what I just did. Anyway, what did I do? We are thinking, well, I emailed her personally. I emailed her. It was not a broadcast email, meaning it wasn't an email that I sent to anybody else. It wasn't templated follow-up email, like a, thanks so much for coming to my class. I'm wondering if you liked it or whatever. It was not generic at all. I just kind of picked her and a handful of others to actually go over on Instagram, look at their businesses. Now, this is not a member or a customer, but I just felt like I wanted to lean into one of my company values in that moment, which was to lead with love and abundance. And what would that look like? It would look like me not just writing to someone to follow up and see how they got on with my class, but to genuinely thank them, to be able to reference something that is personal and unique to them, being her business and something I'd seen on her Instagram, and, you know, like tying that into the outcomes of the class. And it took effort. It took time, not too much time, because I can see these things at a glance now, but still, I don't know too many people in the online space that are going to give that amount of time or any time beyond a broadcast email to someone new to their list. And maybe that is the lesson for me in this, but I don't really think so. But anyway, I do care, and caring at a level that other people don't care. Like, I can out-care my competition any day. And I think that that is part of the reason why I've built the business that I've built, why I have the beautiful retention and lifetime customer value that I have. It's why people stay with me for years. It's why people tell their friends, their daughters. Like, I don't take that for granted. And it's because I do care a lot. And some people would say, you care too much, Tracy. And in that moment, I did have that little feeling. That voice that is not a voice of love, that voice was like, give these freebie seekers, because that's what my brain was wanting to label them, give these people less of your time. They don't deserve your time. If this is how they're going to react, that's gross. Like, no, because as long as we're giving them time and attention and we're overextending, like doing a little check-in is one thing, but overextending, going the extra mile, looking into her account, being able to reference her name, her business name, something that she shared recently, like that is all, to me, that's not going above and beyond. Like, my standard is like, why wouldn't you do that? We live in a world where people are so disconnected, where they're not understood, where no one takes the time to ever truly know them. And so for me in this company, I'm always like, how can I go the extra mile to make a difference? How can I show someone that I am a mentor who actually cares and will listen? Anyway, little insight there into the mind of Tracy. So yes, I email her personally, and it's not a broadcast. It's not templatized. It's not a polished like funnel email written by a team member even. It was truly just me on that day, sitting here at my desk, writing to her. And I wanted to ask her, yes, how did she find that class? I wanted to see what landed. I wanted to know how else I could help her and what stage of business she's in, because maybe that class is not actually what she needed. And that's okay too. Or how can I make it be better? And I have to tell you, it felt really good and it felt really abundant and loving to be able to give to her of my time in that way. And there was something so human about it. Like I said, it was personal, it was connecting. And it reminded me of the early days of business where I did have more capacity to be in those one-on-one conversations more often, like often in the DMs or in email. And so I wrote that email and I wrote it well. I responded to what she'd shared previously with me in an email that I sent just before that. I met her with empathy. I structured the email thoughtfully so that I was addressing all of her key points and addressing them in order. And I made sure that it was clear, that it was warm, that it was intelligent, and that it was helpful. And honestly, I was proud of it. Actually, if a team member had written this email to one of my clients or to one of my leads, I would have high-fived them for exceptional customer care, and I probably would have screenshotted the email and maybe even put it into our team Slack channel and dissected it as to why it's so good. Anyway, this lady replies and she accuses me of using AI to just write her this email. She didn't ask, she said something along the lines of she's not impressed that I would write AI or it's very clearly written by AI. And the wild part is that I had not used AI at all, not to spell check or proofread or make sure that grammatically what I wanted to say was expressed well. I didn't use it to come up with the ideas or the prompts. I didn't use it to help me draft it or to take my words and turn it into an email. I didn't use it in the slightest, not even to tidy it up. It was all me, my words, my brain, my care, my time, my voice. And so I was dumbfounded. And I just sat there thinking, wait, has good writing now become suspicious? Has polish and attention to detail become a problem? Are we at a point where we are so conditioned to no one giving a damn about us? We are so conditioned to the fact that a founder would never write back to you, that now when someone is, you are suspicious. Are we at the point where if something is well written, emotionally intelligent and thoughtfully structured, people assume that a machine wrote it? Because if that is where we are now, then wow, really, we need to talk about it. What made this even more interesting is about a week, maybe 2 weeks max after this happened, I saw a post on Instagram, a carousel post from Lila Halmos, and she was talking about how to spot when GPT has written someone's content, like say a caption, or has written an email. And she outlined the structure or what to look like, the patterns, the telltale signs. And then someone in the comments wrote something along the lines of, this is also just good writing. Like anyone who did well in English in senior years of high school or who went to university and excelled, this is also just good writing. And I laughed because in that moment, the memory of just a week or two prior, her replying saying, you clearly used AI, not impressed, da-da-da. Yeah, a lot of people now identify good writing as AI writing. Oh, dear. And it's also just how many of us were taught to write and to simply communicate well. Good writing has structure. Good writing reflects the other person. It has flow. It has coherence. It follows a thread. It addresses concerns. It demonstrates empathy. it lands with, summarizing the main point succinctly at the end. Like it does tie it all together in a big red bow. And when I was a teacher, I would teach kids to write like this also. Anyone who excelled in school, like in high school or university, like I said, like with essay writing, or anyone who excels at corporate communications, copywriting, journalism, any field where words matter knows this. So what exactly are we saying here? Is it that to sound human, we now need to be less articulate? Like to prove that we care, do we need to be less thoughtful? To appear more real, do I need to be sloppy? I mean, not every piece of writing is how I wrote to this lady. And some of my captions are long form and they're almost like excerpts out of a book. And I love that. And that's because in that day, I'm just writing and I'm in flow. And then other days like today, I wrote a caption and I feel like it was 2 sentences at most. And it was very colloquial and kind of tongue in cheek and a little bit funny and yeah, just short. I often have typos as well. So, maybe I need more typos, less editing, less proofreading. Is that what we're heading for? I don't think so. Anyway, I wanted to share this real example because I do think that there are implications in the online space, particularly as it relates to our communication and, the way that we write emails, the way that we are writing our captions. Some people are bothered by, did you use AI? Other people don't really care. They know that it's your ideas. You've likely spoken it in and then it's done the formatting. Like they're not bothered. And I do believe how we think and feel about using AI in our work is also going to shift as people become, more comfortable with it, more used to it. And there's definitely some things I wouldn't use it for, and then some things where I think it's absolutely brilliant. Anyway, I want to say I do not believe that the answer is to write badly on purpose. I do not believe that the answer is to ditch our polish or reduce our intelligence or to pretend that we're less capable with our words and what we actually are. Like just on riding the scooter through central Bali on the weekend, I was chatting to our younger son, he's 9 years old, about vocabulary and how important it is to have a wide or extensive vocabulary because it does communicate intelligence and you can tell if someone is well read and you can tell when someone has a very limited vocabulary that they've actually just had less experience with a wider vocabulary. Like they're just speaking the same words on repeat. And we were talking about that. I did not then extend into telling him this story, but it's just interesting. Yeah, there are many lessons in this. And I know that as you're listening to this, you are being activated or initiated into taking from this what it is that you need to take from it at this point in time. Who are you? Like in this story, which character are you? Are you the woman that is, looking at everything to kind of catch people out? Are you the woman who is in disbelief that someone would want to give to her? Are you even able to receive? Are you able to be witnessed? Or when someone does make the effort to see you, do you push them away? Do you run away? Or are you me in this story, the person that is leading with love, possibly overextending to the wrong people? I do have a tendency to do that. So there's a healthy balance there for me, which I am aware of. And so that's why I like to sense check, like, well, was this a time where this happened? But I think it's more so a sign of the times because seeing that post by Lila Halmos and then people writing in the chat and, yeah, it's interesting times, my friends. Good writing has always had structure. I enjoy good writing. I love reading. I respect stories that are written and told well. And I know that AI can sometimes feel really hollow. So maybe I needed to finesse the writing a little bit more. Maybe it seemed too polished and not connected enough. I don't know, but I'm not even going to go and look at the email. But I just know that this is, it's something that we are experiencing. in this modern day era. So too tidy, too balanced, too generic, too interchangeable. Yeah, and I think that this is what people are reacting to. Not to polish itself, but polish without presence, structure without soul. Maybe I could have added a little bit more Tracy isms or personality. Maybe I defaulted to a little bit corporate, maybe. Empathy without intimacy is always going to feel a little bit off. It's like when you give insight into something, but then you don't back it up by giving an example of your lived experience. There's a lot of that on the internet. So the second someone is more so teaching and preaching, but they're not showing, yeah, I don't really even want to stop and read the rest of your caption. Like, you've lost credibility with me. And the sad thing is that, like, sometimes they just got a little lazy and they used AI in that instance and it took out the human element. But there's this saying that I love. It is, show them, don't tell them. Like, if you are talking about living a balanced lifestyle, show them, don't just tell them. If you are talking about how to lead with love, show them how you do that, don't just tell them. If you are talking about your clients' wins, show them, don't just tell them. That would be an example of, giving lived experience, not just giving insight and information. Because when that happens, your words are technically fine, but they could have also come from absolutely anyone. Like, anyone could copy paste that and put it down. And so if that's what you're sharing, then that's when it feels off. And that is what people are noticing. So maybe my email was a little dry like that. Could have just been, maybe it was boring. Possible. But again, this episode isn't just about that email. This episode is about how we communicate now and what our audiences are fatigued by receiving, and therefore what can we do better so that they're not, just rolling their eyes whenever you send another email, or just scrolling on by and never reading the caption because they just assume it's just more AI slop. Because we are being flooded with that kind of sloppy content right now. People are becoming suspicious of anything that feels polished, even when it is real, even when it's thoughtful, even when it is written by someone who genuinely cares, even when it is written by someone who writes well and is a bit of an academic or has picked up an academic writing style. This has implications, and big ones. It does have implications for how we lead and show up, and most definitely implications for how we sell, how we support our clients, how we steward our voice. And for those of you that are listening to this, if you happen to be a teacher or if you are homeschooling your children, I feel like it has implications on how we teach the next generation to write as well. Or just looking at the different text types and different platforms, like, how do people want captions to be written on Instagram versus how do we need to write an email to our list versus how do we need to write sales copy? Wow. And honestly, how we just begin to build trust online these days, because it's different and it's a really weird place. And I think that we need to pay attention to this. So many brilliant women have spent decades learning how to communicate well, how to write with warmth and intelligence and care and precision. And I am not interested in telling those women to become less excellent just so that they can appear more human. Hell no. What I think matters now is it's not less polished, but it is more humanity. And that's what I meant with the content that shows versus content that just tells, because there is a difference. You don't need to become worse at writing, but you do need to become more unmistakably you. And so for me, that's the lesson that I'm taking away from this. In that email to that lady, how could I have made it be more unmistakably me? And even if other people are like, oh, well, Tracy, you do write well. Like, you have got multiple degrees. You are well read. You are well spoken. You do love philosophical thinking. Like if someone doesn't know all of that about me already and they're very new to my world, I need to have a look at the words that I'm writing down in these emails and make them more unmistakably me. And you need to make sure that you are making your stuff unmistakably you, because AI can mimic structure and rhythm and competence and even like your personality and warmth to a degree, but it cannot replace your lived experience. So when we look at how you are showing up online as a marketer, showing yourself doing the things that you talk about is what is going to build your credibility. Or being able to yap and speak to the camera in an unpolished setting like the FaceTime-style reel, which I predicted a couple of years ago now as the thing to go off in the future, and it's definitely peaking now. So if you're still not doing those, please start doing those, versus sitting there having a perfect background, or you at a desk, or even you in a studio. Like for the longest time, and I've shared this on the podcast, my best performing Facebook ad of all time was me walking in a puffer jacket, no makeup, walking downhill or uphill. I can't remember, but I'd just done school drop off and I was pretty gassed. Like I was gasping for words as I was sharing. And that went off because it was just so real. It was so real. And this has been the type of content that has been trending for a couple of years now, and it's rising even more. And it's because it's just more authentic. So we need your conviction. We need your opinion. We need your actual voice. And I don't mean your tone. I mean your perspective on something. Like your worldview is so important. Your values, your way of seeing things, your restraint, like what to leave out, but also what to include. Your ability to meet someone in the moment with words that aren't just technically right, but relationally right, so that they see themselves in what you are saying. That's what makes writing feel human. It's not the typos. It's not rambling. It's not undeveloped thoughts. It's not sounding messy for the sake of sounding authentic. Like your mess is not proof of your humanity. And polish is not proof that you used AI. So please, let's stop pretending that those are the only two options. When it's generic, suspicion is going to grow. So specificity is where it's at. So just remember, when your writing could really just apply to anyone, anywhere, any situation, it starts to feel detached. But when it includes detail, context, even dialogue or actual observation, it lands differently. And when someone can feel that you have actually carried the weight of the very thing that you're talking about, then your writing has substance. And I think the third thing is discernment. And this matters so much because good writing is not just about your ability to say things well. It's also about knowing what needs to be said and knowing what doesn't need to be said and what the moment requires. That's like the art of good communication. It's knowing how to be clear without being a bit frosty or cold. And it's knowing how to be empathetic without it seeming fake and like it's a performance. Your actual voice is one of the most important things. I think beyond that, the only other most important thing is care, because that's what all this is about. The part that stayed with me the most is that my email to her was an act of care. It was me choosing to give my time and energy in a personal way, and I won't cease doing that. And sometimes it is going to be misunderstood, and that doesn't make the care any less real. And it doesn't mean that we shouldn't do things just because we are misunderstood in the moment. It didn't make my writing any less human. It just means that sometimes our intentions will be misread or we will be misunderstood. And it's unfortunate, but it's also life. To me, it's not a reason to abandon excellence. Actually, if anything, I feel like this moment is asking more of us, not less. So let's write more thoughtfully. Let's say something real. Let's sharpen our voice so that it's recognizably ours and can't just be copy pasted by someone else. And let's strengthen our discernment. And if you are someone like me that does use AI in your business, let's also not outsource the parts of communication that actually builds trust. Can you use AI? Absolutely. I'm using Claude and ChatGPT a lot and other types of AI too. Like, I am not anti to this tool. Like, not even a bit. I'm so grateful. What a time. But I am deeply pro-voice and pro-human leadership. And I think that when those things are removed, like, then it becomes slop, like AI slop. That is actually what it's called on the internet. And you don't want to be put into that bucket like I was put into that bucket recently. And then I was like, yeah, shook. I was shooketh about it. So yeah, there's a lot in this, you know. In the past, I can say that email, her email back to me, would have bothered me so much. I would have been sad. I would have dwelled. Can you imagine letting that eat your time? No. I did write back. Some of you were like, did you write back, Tracy? I did. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, kind of sad that you thought that it was AI. I actually took the opportunity to look into your business and maybe that's where it went wrong. Maybe I cared a little too much. But again, that's how I am. Welcome to my world. I'm not going to stop doing that. It's built the business and the life that I've had, and it's brought me the beautiful values-led mentees that I have. And it's how I choose to be in the world. But I can see why you maybe thought that. And I think it's sad that you now have to question that. I wrote something back along those lines, and then she did write back, and I think she didn't double down on her stance. I think she understood. And then that was it. That was the end of the exchange. Yeah. Anyway, I can't wait to hear from you about what you're taking away from this episode or where you see yourself in this very real experience that I had. And this podcast episode is an example of me sharing with you like something that happened in my business in real time. So that, you know, like, there's no way AI could write this scenario, the story. Like, this is a thing that happened to me. So anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you, my friends. And I'm just so grateful for you all being here and for anyone that has ever taken the time to leave a review over at Apple Podcasts. It means so much to me because what that actually does is it pushes the podcast out to more people. So if you're listening and if you've never done that, could you pretty please do one? I humbly ask, and just know I'm so grateful, as are all of the other ladies that I get to discover the podcast. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.